in your room. You're like the disguising behind the blue. I'm thinking about you, and I'm thinking about you. All the things we could do if I was sober enough. And so you met my friend. This party's not that amazing. Your friends are skin and bones. She can never replace me. How your kiss looks kinda gross. Guess I'm acting crazy, but I can't hold it back. They don't know how it feels. I'm the best you'll never have. The best you'll never have. Next day, first I regret it. Had to find a cure for my headache. I went out walking with my pug. Saw my crush with his ex. Oh my god. Now that it's over, I love my hangover. And nobody's here to mess up. I'm free.
Let's see how this is gonna work. Okay, I am super nervous to start this, I have to admit, but let's try it out. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, there's a handful of people here. So okay, let's kick this up. So my name is Gisli, and I am going to be doing a live stream of my participation, like my entry into the summer game jam. Well, let me see if I can just turn off the music here. Here we go. Yeah, so I have to turn it off for myself, actually. Here we go. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I'm basically going to try and stream the stuff that I'm doing for my participation or my entry into the summer game jam organized by Game Makers of Iceland. So I don't have very much planned for this right now. So I wanted to try to do something a little bit authentic. How I would we have Peter Darri is the first kind of person to join the stream. So I'm very happy. Hi, glad to have you here. So yeah, so basically what I'm trying to do here is, and by the way, if there's something wrong with the sound or if there's something wrong with something, please let me know. I'm doing this for kind of the first time, so I'm gonna remove the chat box actually from the screen like this. Okay. Cool. So yeah, basically what I'm gonna try to do is I'm going to go a little bit kind of fresh into this. I have this kind of idea for what I want to do in this game jam. So I'm going to try and I don't have anything planned. I'm just going to show you how I would approach this. And definitely, if you have any ideas, definitely if you have any comments or anything like that, just shout them out and I'll try to be able to talk about them and comment on them as well. And the goal of this is obviously just to have a little bit of fun. So I'm going to start off by opening up the presentation that that kind of follows the game jam. I went on. Nope, don't want to see what's new. Here we go. So I went to this presentation a couple of days ago where there was a kickoff for the summer game jam, where the concept was kind of introduced. And I basically got to meet a couple of the people who were participating and doing all sorts of kind of cool stuff like that. It was on if I remember correctly, it was on a Saturday in the middle of the day, and it's summer, so I was really surprised to see how many people actually showed up. And I was also really surprised to see how many people were there that I didn't know about. I always have this feeling that the Icelandic game industry is this pretty small and tight-knit group, and I feel like I have all this impression that I know everybody, so which is obviously wrong. So I was really happy to see a bunch of new faces that I'm looking forward to meeting. So I'm just going to scroll through the presentation a little bit. Like, I'm not going to go into the details. The organizers did a really good job doing that themselves. But what I wanted to scroll down to was the theme itself. Let's see, scroll. Yeah, it was really fun. There was this everyone was kind of waiting for the theme, and yeah, I thought there was just done really nicely, where they were sharing all sorts of things and kind of teasing the theme to come. So the theme for this game jam is White Knights, and I have to admit this didn't, when I saw the words White Knights, like firstly I didn't yeah, they showed it like this, so it was nothing on the screen. So the first thing that I thought about was White Knights was I have no idea what that is, like what is a white knight. And the frame around the frame around this this concept is you can play with this. I mean, this is just supposed to be an inspiration for the game and the theme. You can do pretty much whatever you want with it, which is why it's really nice that it's very broad. And I also thought it was very nice that white knights can also be knight with a K. So if you want to do a chess game, or if you want to do something like that, that's totally fine as well. But I got really interested in the idea of a white knight. Like, what is a white knight? Like, I have, yeah, basically, like you've heard of kind of dark knights, and we've heard of uh, yeah, dark knights and things like that. But what is a white knight? Uh, and yeah, they had some really good explanations. But basically, what I found out a couple of slides later is that a white knight is this thing that happens here in the northern part of the world, and it's when the sun isn't really setting, so there's no darkness during the night. So it's these nights where the sun, when it's very bright most of the night. So I really like this concept. So I wanted to design my game a little bit around this concept. Uh, and yeah, so the presentation was really good. So what I wanted to do now in this kind of kickoff session, I was going to switch over and do a little bit of preparation. I'm going to show you how I would go about planning a project like this just from scratch. So I've obviously thought about this a little bit, so I'm not coming in kind of completely fresh. But what I normally like to do when I start a project like this is to do a little bit of brainstorming first. So I'm using Canva. No, not using Canva. I'm using Figma for this, and I really like Figma just to kind of, or it's just a place. It's like a way to brainstorm a little bit what I'm doing. So I'm just gonna add a frame, and I'm gonna type in the name of the theme, White Knight, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So I like to, I'm a pretty visual, like the way that I like to work is pretty visual. So I always enjoy having a software like Figma, for example, where I can just write text and I can move it around and I can kind of match, and like that's a good way for me to think. So the game is supposed to be like, that's the theme. So the good thing about this theme is I can actually make it so I can use an idea that I've had for a while, something that I wanted to try out. I want to make a game, so I'm just going to add these bullet points that of stuff that I want to include in my game. So I want to have it as a third person game. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. So it's a third person game. I want it to have let's copy paste this. I want to have a fixed camera. So this is stuff that I've been thinking about, and this is the type of game that I really want to make. So these are kind of these type of game features that I think that I'm interested in making, and I'm gonna see if I can somehow merge together the kind of the concept with the game mechanics that I have. So I can go up here, and I'm gonna turn this side into game concept. And this is the game concept, so maybe I can make this bold, and then I'm gonna do game mechanics over here. So I'm going to list out the game mechanics that I like, and I'm going to then list out the kind of the themes that I'm working with, and I'm going to see if I can make some sort of a kind of connection between the theme, and that's in the end how I'm hopefully going to be able to figure out what I'm going to be making. So I want to do a fixed camera. I want to do a third-person game, and because this is a game jam, and the goal is to be able to have players jump into it and try it out and have fun right away. So it needs to be pretty simple. So so I think what I want to do is I want to have NP. I want to do PVE combat. So I want the character to be able to do some sort of combat, but I haven't really decided what it is. But I can imagine someone jumping into the game, like they're in this kind of third-person game mode with a fixed camera, so they don't have to worry about moving the camera around. They should see their objective right away, and the objective should be kind of combat based, I think. So, and I'm hoping that this is going to be enough, like people are going to be familiar enough with this that they can kind of jump in and start playing the game. So depending on how this goes, I might can make more complex kind of combat mechanics or something like that later. But for now, I know I want PvE combat, and I know that I want this to be projectile based. So I'm thinking about, like, I want the player, this kind of third-person character, third-person fixed camera PvE combat game to be projectile based. So I want you to shoot something out of the character and to onto an enemy. So maybe we can I can share some of the games that are an inspiration for me. There's a game called Binding of Isaac. I'm gonna see if I can find a picture from it. I'm looking for this on the other screen. Well, I should probably have it on this screen because I'm sharing. So here is something. This is something that I'm super inspired by. I'm gonna copy paste this in here. So like I really love this this idea. Like you start in a room in Binding of Isaac. So Binding of Isaac is a top-down game. Like it is a third-person game, even though it's a top-down 2D game with a fixed camera. You don't move the camera at all. So what I really like about this game is that you start in a room. Once you move out of the room, the controls have been kind of fully explained to you. Like WASD is like the moment is you can move, you can attack, so you can place a bomb, which is, I guess, a little bit more advanced, and then you can pick up an item. But the idea here is that when you start playing the game, you understand the mechanics of the game right away, and you should be able to start playing. And if I remember this correctly, whenever you die, you always start in this room. So if you go into the world, you actually and you die in the world because you don't understand the mechanics or something like that. If you run into this problem, then you're going to start here again, and you can review. Okay, so maybe you go in and you didn't figure out how to attack. Okay, so it's the arrow keys that are going to let you attack. So you can do another run. So you learn a little bit. So it has this kind of, like, it doesn't take you through a tutorial or kind of have any hand holding or anything like that. But basically, you should pick it up really quickly. So this is something that I really really like. So I'm going to see if I can find some more screenshots from Binding of Isaac. So I'm going to go to Binding of Isaac. Yeah, so here is another thing that I really like. It's the map in Binding of Isaac. So I like the idea of having these kind of fixed rooms. So basically every room is like a little bit of a challenge. So I'm going to add this in here. Rooms with encounters. So this means that I want the player to have, like, the loop that I want to create is, let's see if we can draw it here. If I could make one suggestion for how to make Figma better, is I want more detailed arrows. So let's do something like this. So what I want happening is I want the player to enter room. So that's the first thing. So can I make this better? Next thing is solve puzzle, and the puzzles are so I'm gonna add another arrow here because I'm gonna make this yellow. So this is how I actually like work. I do creative work a lot like this. So I'm basically just kind of going one step at a time. And for now, for example, like I use the word puzzle here. So then I start thinking, okay, so I wouldn't say like Binding of Isaac, for example, is a puzzle game, but I feel like that's what you're doing. Like you go and you enter a room and you solve a puzzle. So each puzzle is I'm going to turn this into puzzle in parentheses, puzzle rooms. And this probably works. So solving puzzles is pretty much just always combat centric, at least in the first prototype. Solve puzzle, and then I want to do get reward, like so, and then basically we want the loop to repeat itself. So I don't know if this is gonna be beautiful, but see if we can do this. Here we go, like so. Cool. So this is the so I'm gonna get rid of this green one here now because yeah, I don't need it. So I can also see now that there are two kind of outcomes that can happen if you don't solve the puzzle. So if you do solve the puzzle, that is, if you kill the say with encounters, success. There's probably a graphic designer somewhere crying. And let's make this a little bit smaller. So if we are successful in solving our puzzle, we go here, get reward. But if we, this is probably nicer. Okay. And if we fail, we go here. This is the failure. We do something like we restart game. So it's going to be a roguelike game. So like I want the player to actually yeah, so if you fail solving the puzzle or killing the enemies or finding the exit or whatever it is, yeah, if you manage to do that, then we restart the game. So it's roguelike. Yeah, so I got a comment. Happy to see someone else using Figma. All I see is videos talking about Adobe everything. Yeah, so I just to kind of jump into that comment a little bit. Like I used to be a huge fan of Adobe XD, I think it was called, but Figma is just better. I love it. I do a lot of work like this, and I have these kind of vast creative boards and all sorts of things that I do in Figma. So team Figma over here. So I'm gonna say restart the game, and once you restart the game, we can see that like I want you basically just to go back to the beginning, and the first thing that you do is you enter a room. Okay. So this is a little bit of a, so now I have a bit of a loop, but there's no kind of there's no victory condition here. So how do I win? And I don't want to overthink this right now. Get reward here. So I want to I'm gonna say move this out a little bit here. It's probably good to at least include it in the design. Like how would you win? So and so I'm gonna say I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna say loops and turn this red, and then I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna say win. Like so, but I'm not going to. I don't think I actually need the. Yeah, I really want to do it. So I'm gonna say for simplicity, yeah. So now I'm kind of thinking like, what is the victory condition? And I think in Binding of Isaac, for example, it's about like going through. It's solving X number of puzzles. It's basically going through the whole. It's going through the whole game. I'm refilling my coffee here. Yeah, it's going through kind of gradually more and more difficult, kind of more and more difficult kind of series of puzzles or series of rooms, as we see here, for example. And we have these kind of different puzzles. And one of the puzzles in Binding of Isaac is just beating the boss, and then you level up a little bit. So I don't wanna go fully over there. So maybe I just say for now. We do solve puzzle, get reward, player enters a room. I'm thinking about like how can I say, I'm gonna just add the words in here, beat boss, and maybe I'll just do a small loop here. And I think here's another thing that I really wish I could do with Figma. So there is this graphic that I really like. It's like a repeating circle. So I'm gonna make a stroke, and I'm gonna remove this here, and I'm gonna take one of my arrows. I don't know if this is gonna work, and do this. So this is supposed to be a loop. Okay, yeah, that's fine. And I'm gonna say something like this. And I mean, there are much more kind of formal ways to do graphics like that, like game design like this. And but this is normally how I try to work when I'm just brainstorming. I'm trying to break down. Like I've identified that I really like the core loop of Binding of Isaac and those types of games. And I'm just trying to get it down so that I can see if I want to use it. So I'm gonna say just n number of rewards. Which means that I need to have one. Go here. I'm gonna say enter boss room. And maybe we just make this a little bit bigger. Yeah, and I'll actually on the Figma comment as well. Like there was one of the suggestions was that you could just make your game in Figma, which I thought was really interesting because you have variables in Figma now. So I've actually seen some pretty impressive games made in PowerPoint, which is crazy. So let's see. So we had enter the boss room. So that's kind of the same as here, and then basically what's going to happen is we are going to be looping again here. If you go into the boss room, this is a special room. You do get the reward and then you win. But I'm just going to make it so that enter boss room. I'm going to be very cheeky and I'm going to say solve boss puzzle. Now it's I've always been really yeah, it's PowerPoint or Figma is probably like these are definitely not tools for game development, but I always kind of respect kind of the passion or the creativity that goes into like just making a game with whatever you have. So it kind of always reminds me a little bit on these people who are kind of challenging themselves, beating Dark Souls with a bunch of bananas or something like that. So it was kind of cool. But all right, so I'm gonna say solve boss puzzle, and we go here. I'm just gonna take these again, and if we win, if we solve the boss puzzle, and if we don't, this effectively means that we die. We go in here and up here and go back. So this has nothing to do with the actual theme just yet. I just know that these are the mechanics that I want to make, and I want to fit the theme. I want to fit the theme to that to this game mechanics. Okay, so and now the things that are bugging me, these should be 4. Okay, cool. So now we have a little bit of a loop for our game, which I think makes sense. So yeah, just go through it a little bit. So player enters a room. So that's kind of like here in Binding of Isaac. I mean, you start the game. You always start the game like this. You start and your choice is the you start the game with a choice. You're going to go in and enter a room. So we go here, player enters a room. So when you go into a room, you solve a puzzle. So I'm going to see if I can find a picture of that. I never actually like the kind of the aesthetics of Binding of Isaac. Like it's like I always thought it was a little bit kind of too, I don't know what to call it, kind of too brutal or yeah, brutal, or I don't know what the word is. Yeah, thanks for. So yeah, definitely, I'm happy that you enjoy seeing how I'm kind of backing out the game. I have to admit I was super nervous doing this because I don't have a plan. So I'm just like this is how I would approach things if I was just starting a project. So there was a good chance that like nothing was gonna happen. And I was just gonna be saying the whole time. So I really appreciate the comment. So here, I've actually found a pretty good picture that kind of describes what I'm talking about by solving a puzzle. So here you can see that the player has entered the room here, and there's a spider here in the middle. There's a rock. There's fire. So there's all sorts of things in the scene that are puzzle-like elements. I mean, the player, you can see that the player has this fire around them. That's probably some sort of an ability. So so if I just go in here and I add a couple of just kind of call outs. So I'm going to say fire probably does damage. And I'm going to make this some other color, orange. And I'm going to add a stroke so we see it. And I'm going to make it smaller because this totally matters. Let's see. See. Okay. Got a phone call that let me just really quickly check what that is. See. This is riveting content, I know. 1 second. Yeah, this is also my big fear about like doing these kind of live streams. Like when people like if you get a phone call that you have to check out or something, like uh why would you? Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna mute myself really quickly and check it out just to make sure that this isn't anything. Okay, so that was fun. So that was basically just uh, like my family using the kind of the family chat to do a group chat. It's I wasn't supposed to get it anyway. So I hope you stuck around. But yeah, I'm gonna go in and just kind of mark a couple of these things in here. The fire in the game probably does damage. I'm gonna say here, spider is an enemy. In this case here, we can say that the rocks, the blocks are movable. Yeah, fun thing. Yeah, I'm also like I know that I am a little bit like kind of not on edge, but like I'm, uh, this is it takes a little bit of effort to. I'm still getting used to the streaming, so anything that kind of goes out the ordinary, I was like, what's happening? And I'm gonna say rock is destroyable, if I remember correctly. And I'm gonna say player has fire ability. So you can see that the fire ability is on the player here. Okay, and then I'm just gonna pick a new color here. Door to new room here and here. Okay, so this is just kind of breaking down a little bit like how Binding of Isaac works. So you go into you go into this room. So I just assume that the player went into this room here, through this room here, and so there's a bunch of stuff going on, but effectively what's happening is that you are solving a puzzle. So and that's kind of in line with what we wanted to do. So we enter a room. We have this room here. We solve a puzzle. We get a reward. Something drops in the game, and that's probably might be an ability. This ability that you have. This might actually be fire ability. I'm gonna say probably reward from earlier. Like this. So this all fits. So I feel like we've kind of broken down the concept of this game a little bit well. So I want to fit this idea now to another game that I really like, and that game is called Rogue Legacy. This is a fantastic game. If you haven't tried it, but it's probably one of the better games that I've played in the recent years. So, and this is a yeah, it's a similar type of game. It's a rogue-like game. I'm gonna say starting area. I'm gonna see what you see when you start the game. So none of this is the starting area. Starting area. Let's see. Right. Okay. So you start at least with Rogue Legacy. I'm gonna go here, create this. Basically, what happens is you start in this this town, and you walk through this town when you start out. And I can't remember if it actually teaches you what to do, but so that's a little bit different from Binding of Isaac. So I can't remember how it teaches you to play the game, but the controls are a little bit simple. I have a little helper here who's sick of being in her cage. Okay, so this is how you start out. It's like here is a good screenshot, I think. Basically, what happens in this game. I'm just trying to see if there's something different in the game. So like you have a door here. So we have the door to new rooms. So that's the same. Here we go. We have enemies. And I'm just gonna say change this and gonna say an enemy here. And here we have an enemy and an enemy and an enemy. Here. The player itself doesn't really have any abilities. So, well, the player actually does have abilities. And we can add this arrow here. And the arrow again. Here we go. So the abilities are actually stored here. And in that game, you actually start with a bunch of abilities. And as abilities, those are starting abilities. And those are starting and found abilities. Okay, cool. So, and you can see them here. So you have, like, it's a similar concept. So you have these abilities. And let's see what else was there. So you have these kind of destroyable rocks. Here we actually do have destroyable stuff. You have the chandelier or the candle thingy and a bunch of things. But the thing here, at least in this screenshot, like these are just things that are just satisfying to break. You do get rewards for it actually. Okay, and basically one of the differences between, for example, this game and Binding of Isaac is that there is in Rogue Legacy you don't have to. The door isn't locked. You can just speed run through it if you want. So the door isn't locked. So I think that now that I've done a little bit of research, I'm going to just take this third person thing out here. I want to do PvE combat. I want to do these kind of puzzle rooms. And I'm going to say I want them to have competent counters. And I want the room to be locked until the puzzle is finished. So this is going to make it so that this is going to make it so that if the player is not going to be able to rush through, so it's closer to Binding of Isaac than it is to this game here. Okay, so I wonder if there is anything more that I want. So projectile-based combat. This means that I'm gonna call it simple projectile-based. Shoot, ball, do damage. Okay, and let's see. And I'm gonna say you find rewards. The rewards give you make you better at puzzle rooms. So this could be probably make you better at combat. Okay, so I mean this is pretty vague, and I know that because it still has to do with like I still want to have some flexibility that when I'm making the game, that like I haven't decided, like I'm not going to make a decision here saying, okay, so when you finish a room you unlock the shotgun. Like I could do something like that, but I wanna, like, and I have all of these, like I have the ideas, and they, like I could write this down if I wanted to, but for the core design of the game mechanics, I much rather want to make it so that I have room to find the fun. So I'm just gonna say, make you better at combat, and if that means that you're gonna get bigger, or if that means that you're gonna uh, yeah, just whatever it is, I don't want to have put in my game design document like, oh, you have to build a shotgun. So let's see. Cool. So now I'm gonna work a little bit on. I have a pretty good feeling now about the core mechanics of the game, and again, I'm pretty much just copying the good bits from games that I like, and it's, so you can hear that it's heavily inspired by Binding of Isaac. And now my camera is getting removed. Okay, so I'm just gonna turn off the camera then. Now, for now, but probably should have plugged it in. So yeah, no, maybe that's just a good place to end this right now. I still haven't talked about the concept that I want to do, but maybe tomorrow it's going to be better that we do a session where we take this. I'm going to sleep on this a little bit, and we're going to work on the concept. Like, how does it look like? How does it feel like? Is there a backstory? What is the backstory? And start implementing something in Unreal Engine. So yeah, I'm super happy with how this turned out. I got a handful of people. I think we spiked at 10 viewers, which is more than I had hoped for. So if I'm gonna post kind of a scheduled post tomorrow where I, like I mentioned, I do the concept a little bit better, and I do and I start implementing something in Unreal Engine. That's gonna happen tomorrow, and hopefully I'll figure out how to make sure that my camera doesn't run out of battery. So that's all for now. Thank you so much.